Well, hello and welcome. Yeah, it's me, Nolsey, and today I had to make a video on this day and a little jaunt down memory lane and just an appreciation video as well. Um, well, today marks the official day G1 Transformers first aired. This day back in 1984. When the Transformers thing all started for the very first time, and it has now been 40 years since then. So today marks is officially the 40th anniversary or the 40th birthday, if you will, of the Transformers franchise. And yeah, it is. There's a couple 80s properties that are still going strong, but not many. There's still a lot of like 80s cartoons that only really had like a fleeting first season and never really had anything else. Um, Off the top of my head, all I can think of is He-Man, Masters of the Universe stuff, G.I. Joe, TMNT, things like that. They're the only kind of franchises I can think that can really kind of stand somewhat next to Transformers in the time frame that they've still been going on for. Well, give or take, but you know what I mean. They're all 80s properties, anyways. But yeah, Transformers, 40 years. It's hard to understand or fathom it has been that long. Of course, I've not been on this earth as long as that. I'm only 34. But obviously, I've mentioned, I know I'm going to kind of, but here we go. Here we go. Knowles talking about Beast Wars again. But I have to start off somewhere. Everybody has their first step, their first exposure to something from their age group and when they started watching stuff. And what really seemed to pique their interest at the time. And my very first exposure, of course, I've already spoken about this in the previous video and many videos before this. But Beast Wars, at the time I didn't even know Beast Wars was even part of the Transformers franchise. I was only 5 years old, going on 6 at the time. And I remember this show. I remember like just kind of like watching an episode. I think it was I managed to literally watch the very first episode, and it was on GMTV, which was basically what Good Morning Britain is now. But they had actually had a kids TV block, and it used to be on early mornings, either before I think certain days before school, and also on the weekend. So alongside that, I also checked out Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which was a huge fan. I was a fan of that as well, um, and a lot of other stuff that was on there at the time. And so my very first exposure was watching GMTV, the kids' TV block, and Saturday morning cartoons and such. And you know, Beast Wars was a part of that. And yeah, that was my first exposure, my first step in the door. And over the years, like maybe about a year or two later, I think I must have been about maybe 7 or 8 years old, and we first got Sky TV. Um, we got or Sky Digital, or whatever you want to call it, and that then opened my eyes to a lot of other animated shows that wasn't being shown on normal TV. Some was, but not all. And through thanks to like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and Boomerang and back in the day Fox Kids and then Jetix, Disney Channel and all that stuff. Through all that stuff, I watched some incredible TV series, incredible cartoons and live action dramas and that. And I remember when I remember I think the Transformers stuff started airing when I think it was through Jetix. I can't remember anything Transformers wise being aired on Fox Kids. I don't know about the UK because I know obviously Fox Kids in America. I think they had maybe a slightly different schedule with what was being shown or what was being aired at the time. But here in the UK, I don't remember anything Transformers wise at all when it was Fox Kids. I remember watching things like Digimon and Power Rangers stuff as well, like some of the stuff after Mighty Morphin and some other stuff at the time. And I think it was when Jetix started, because Jetix started to import, they started to really go down more of the Japanese cartoons, or Japanese anime, and Saban, Saban was the company that dubbed a lot of a lot of the stuff that was airing at the 90s, and the stuff that Fox Kids was airing, or Jetix was airing as well. So I remember watching 2001 Robots in Disguise. I really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that, and that's what was my maybe that the 2001 Transformers series was probably the series that, obviously, I knew it was Transformers by the title, because originally Beast Wars was just called Beast Wars, and then they actually changed it a little bit later to Beast Wars Transformers. But originally, when it started airing, it was just Beast Wars. Hence why I had no idea, I didn't any sort of inclination to anything that came before it or anything that came after it. But obviously, as I watched Beast Wars, I knew, because obviously there's an episode where you see G1 Optimus Prime and Megatron in stasis. So that kind of concretes it as part of the G1 canon. And but obviously at the time when I first saw those episodes, I didn't really know, because I didn't start watching G1 properly until we got the internet. When we got our first computer, and Google started and YouTube started, and that's where I kind of started like opening my horizons more and checking out stuff from my childhood, and that's where I started watching some of the G1 stuff, and that's how I came to know that. But yeah, so getting back on track with the timeline there. So basically G1. I remember what Transformers Robots in Disguise was my first kind of like understanding of the Transformers franchise, because of the title and it all being mostly vehicles and a mixture of like Predacons as well. And then after that would have been when Nickelodeon, I think it was Nickelodeon that was airing the Armada trilogy, the Unicron trilogy. So Armada, Cybertron, and Energon. So I remember watching all of that. And then there was a huge gap. There was literally nothing except for comic books and the odd video game here and there. There was no TV series for ages until about 2007 time. And that's when Transformers Animated aired on Cartoon Network. And I remember watching majority of the first season. I can't remember if I watched anything past that, but I do remember watching a good bit of the first season when it was first airing. And then 2007 was when I started getting into the collecting side of things. That's when I started getting into collecting, was about 2007, 2008. And the very first Transformer I bought as a collector, at the very beginning, was a Legends class, really small little Legends animated Prowl. And that was the very first video I made of a video review I did back in the day. And that's where that whole rabbit hole started and came from. But no, it was, man, there's so much nostalgia. So, it was Transformers was a huge part of my childhood. From the age of me being about 5, going on for 6 years old, and seeing all the toys in the toy shops, because we had a toy shop literally just up the road from me here, and I would go in there, and this was around about the time of the Unicron trilogy series being aired, and I remember seeing the Optimus Prime the Cybertron, sorry, the Armada, sorry, the Armada and the Cybertron toys in there. And I remember getting a couple of them when I was a kid, but I didn't have that many of them. But I did have a couple, and I just used to go in there a lot, and I used to just look at them, pick them up, and look at them. But I never got a lot of them for some reason. But I remember picking up Armada Megatron. I remember picking up, looking at them in the boxes, and I was like, oh, I'd love to get this. This looks awesome. And so yeah, it was, it was a big part of my childhood. Transformers. It was a huge part of my childhood. And there was a point where I just stopped watching anything for a while. And then when the internet started and YouTube started for the first time, was when I started to kind of like look back, like a nostalgia trip, really, and kind of like look back and rewatch some stuff from my childhood. And through that, I was watching like some Transformers stuff and checking out different cartoons that I used to watch back then, back when I was a kid. And through searching Transformers, that's when I started to notice the reviewer fandom. People back then starting to make their own videos and talking about the toys and reviewing them. And that's where I first met people like Jared Wolfgang One and Sammy and Skullgrin and George and Ray and people from Canada and America. And this, the UK people and then the people from across the pond and that, all enthusiastic and talking about the classic G1 toys and the obscure Beast Wars stuff and just a huge appreciation for the line. And that really struck a chord with me. And I thought, you know what, I want to do this as well. And my parents, when I told my mum, I said, I want man to pick up some of the Transformers toys, just more for nostalgia. I was only thinking of picking up a couple of them. I wasn't thinking it was going to be like what it is now. But I was only going to pick up a couple of them, and just for nostalgia, just as a keepsake. And my parents were like, "Oh, don't waste your money on stuff like that. You're too old for things like that." But I went behind the backs and picked up the Legends, the mini, the Legends class animated Prowl, and that was the first toy I bought. Um, and I did my first review for that, which was a very, very bad review. It was disembodied hands. At first, I didn't go in front of the camera at first until a bit later. I kind of experimented with like different methods with my videos when I started out, and yeah, so it was one of those things. It was that was the first figure I picked up, and then the second two were bought together, and I had a look on eBay out of curiosity, and I managed to find the original 1995 Optimus Primal and Megatron, and they were being sold together, and I only paid about 25 quid for the two of them, which was, I was like, that's a bloody steal, that is. So I was like, for something that's like just 25 quid with postage included, I was like, yeah, sod it. That's nothing. So I picked them two up, and I was like, yes, that is my childhood right there. So that's where the whole thing started with my collecting, was from that point. And yeah, um, and then obviously I got into it a little bit, and then started buying bit by bit, and kind of mostly buying into the lines that I had more nostalgia for, which was mostly Beast Wars, Beast Machines. I didn't have many Beast Machines figures when I was a kid. I remember having a Jetstorm as a kid, I remember having Jetstorm because he was one of my favourite characters that seemed to stand out to me the most from Beast Machines. So I had a Jetstorm toy. I had, I think, a Tankor. I remember having a Tankor. I was based on the Beast Machines Tankor. Um, I also had, I think, a Transmetal 2 Rat Trap. Um, so yeah, they're the ones I can vividly remember playing with as a kid. Um, but man, it was just, it has been a whirlwind and a very up and downy journey. You know, in that time frame, I've gone from being an 18-year-old to now a 34-year-old, and I'm still buying toys. Not as much as I used to, but I still buy some. I'm still making my videos and still very much a part of the UK side of the Transformers reviewer side of things. And ever since 2010, obviously, I decided to go to my very first Transformers convention, which was Auto Assembly 2010. And I've met some great voice actors, some people that I've idolised for many years. Because were a big part of my childhood, and I managed to meet some of them, and not all of them, but I've managed to meet some of them, and it was just, it's been like next year it'll be 15 years of me doing the whole convention thing, going to Birmingham for a Transformers convention, originally Auto Assembly, now tfnation, and this is where the appreciation side of this video comes, and I want to say this because even though I'm talking about the toys and talking about my childhood, I'm talking about the TV series. Yes, also we've had the live action films as well. They've been very hit and miss. Even though I still do enjoy the '07 film, and I've seen all of them. I do like the '07 film. I like Bumblebee, and I like Rise of the Beasts. They're my favourite three. They're the ones that I kind of would quite happily watch quite happily watch. The other ones like Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, and Age of Extinction, and The Last Night. Them ones I'm not that bothered about. Yeah, they've got some of them have got some good bits in there, but storytelling and just, yeah, they're just not very good. But it's one of those things. There's been a lot has happened in those 40 years. It's quite unreal what has happened in that time frame. And obviously we've got a new film coming out, Transformers 1, this year, that I'm looking forward to seeing. But it's but like I get back on track with the appreciation side. Is I'm very appreciative of the people I've met since 2010 with going to the conventions. Those people that I spoke to online, through my YouTube, on forums, and what have you. I spoke to I started talking to people through, before I ever went to before 2010. Most of the people that I kind of like started talking to was obviously through YouTube, and was through like forums, of course. And that was when I started like meeting people and started talking to people like Moonbase 2 and things like that, and all that kind of thing. And that's where I started to kind of like reach out and start talking to people through them. And then when I started doing the whole video thing, because I kind of got inspired through other people sharing the same idea, and that's where the spark started for me to start doing my own videos or making my own. So I then, started doing my own stuff, started making my own videos, and you know, And then when I went to Auto Summer 2010, you know, there was so many people there that were really like, oh my god, you're nosy. I love your videos and da da da. I have never had that much appreciation at once in my life up to that point. Um, it was a lot to take in, and but over the years since 2010, I've met people for the first time many times. I've been, you know, I've been friends with people since 2010 and still friends with them now. And in between 2010 and now, you know, I've met loads of people over that time frame. And I am very appreciative of all of those individuals that I've met over the years. And I hold those friendships and the memories and all those awesome times hanging out and chilling out at auto assemblies and tfnations. I hold those much more highly, in a much more higher regard than the toys, than the Transformers franchise itself. Even though it's a Transformers thing that brought us together in the first place, I understand that, but I hold those memories and friendships. I hold those much more in a higher regard than the toy lines, than the films and the TV series. Um, because the reason why I hold them in a much higher regard over all that is because those friendships, those people I've met over the years, have helped me hugely with me in myself. They've helped me to be much more open with the person I am. It's helped with my mental health. It's helped me with my anxiety, my insecurities, all that kind of thing. It's helped me with all of that, and it's helped me to be much more approachable of people I've never met before, make new friendships, which was something I did struggle to do and struggled with when I was a kid and all that. And, you know, with going to these conventions and meeting all these people over the years, it has hugely helped me immensely. And yeah, that's why I'm so appreciative, and I hold the people I've met over the years in much more high regard than the toys and the franchise. That's why. Um, but yeah, Transformers 40th anniversary. It is unreal, absolutely unreal. But may we still hopefully be alive in another 40 years. um, bloody hell. But yeah, long may the Transformers franchise continue for as long as possible. I hope we still have great times and many more memories to share with people at future TF Nations or what happens in the future. But yeah, I am. Yeah, that's the video. Happy anniversary to the Transformers franchise. Um, but yeah, there we go. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, everybody, and thank you for all the support over the years as well. If it wasn't for you guys supporting me, making with me, doing my videos, me uploading my vlogs as well, to everybody that supports me with my YouTube, you know, it YouTube is where it all changed for me massively, and you know, me really kind of projecting myself and putting myself out there, talking about my hobbies and interests and other things that I like, and it really helped me as well to be much more open with all that, because I used to keep a lot of that to myself beforehand. And so I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody for the huge support over the years, to everybody that has supported me, shouted out to me, helped me to gain some kind of traction with my videos. Thank you for all of it, and I really do appreciate all the help that people have given me, and and all that, all that kind of thing. But thank you. More videos to come. I'm not going anywhere. But yeah, thank you for watching. Take care, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye.